Hi you guys and welcome. I figured I'd make a video on this subject since there's so many people very optimistic about the new president, and there's a lot of people that are very negative. So it seems to me like there's a lot of people that think that this economy is just going to turn around on a dime, and there's a lot of people that think, oh, he is going to get in office and it's going to ruin everything. And it's kind of probably neither of those things are going to happen right away. So let's talk about this. There's people out there that just think shining happy people holding hands is the answer, and that's how the economy runs. And they think it runs on rainbows, and they think it runs on some sort of good karma, and they think that the economy does all these types of things, and actually it runs on money, inflation, deflation, circulation, businesses' ability to get capital. There's a lot of things that are factored into this, and it's actually a very complex thing, and it's nothing that you can just change by just snapping your fingers and happening overnight. Some of the new things that are happening right now that are going to help over time is if Trump is able to actually lower corporate tax. Lowering corporate tax, and some people say, oh, well, raising corporate tax, those corporations need to pay. Well, all that does is basically, if the corporation has to pay a higher tax, it's another expense that they have, and they just basically pass that off into the consumer. So the consumer ends up being the one that pays the higher price. Basically, most of the middle class ends up paying the money for higher corporate taxes. And a lot of people don't know this. So, they seem to think that, somehow, the rainbow is going to solve everything, the rainbow in the sky. I'm not talking about any kind of any other stuff, but just basically the rainbow that's in the sky from the rain is going to come and save the world. And it's actually things that lower companies' expenses, and this does take time for it to have effect. So if you guys are hoping that it's going to happen immediately, I'm going to tell you right now, you need to be patient, and you need to be looking at everything going on around you, and try to right now, don't go out and spend a ton of money. Don't go out and spend and buy a whole bunch of stuff thinking that all of a sudden it's going to turn around. Be very careful in your financial decisions that you're making, because you might have to live with things like this for a good year or so, at least. It might even take longer than that, because this is a pretty bad situation. We have record inflation. On top of that, you got places like California that are doing things to file lawsuits against the federal government that are just going to try and put more red tape into things and make things take longer. So that's not going to help either. In places like California, a lot of the food's grown here, a lot of the goods and services come through the ports of Los Angeles, and there's some definite issues there. Those goods and services across, when they have things, they say they've dropped the diesel ban. I don't know, I haven't read the whole thing, but I don't trust anything that California says when they say they do something. It actually ends up a lot of times just being a farce. So you have to kind of really look into all this stuff. So you've got a lot of roadblocks. You have a lot of roadblocks along the way here, and you have things that are going to come up in the way that are going to make things difficult. You might have Congress give President resistance on some things, and we'll just have to see how this all pans out. It could go very simple, it could go very slow, and I would anticipate it's going to take a little bit longer than maybe you think. Of course, there's already some good executive orders signed. One is to protect our border, not allow a lot of people just to come across, criminals and some of the extreme poor people that come across the border that have needs right away. And from a humanitarian standpoint, if we protect our border, we'll have less like pregnant women in the middle of a desert who are in dire need of medical care, and it's actually better for their health to probably stay over where they are. And what we can do, hopefully, over the next 4 years is if we can actually get the border under control. At least people go, oh, well, the border wall is not going to stop everybody from coming over. And no, it won't. It's actually going to make it better for the people to be able to control. It's just like having a fence around your house. If you have a fence around your house, the reason you have a fence is to keep, some of the people out. Now, some people will just jump over fences. And, it's a little harder for an 8-year-old kid to climb over a big wall like that or a fence than it is to climb in a pregnant woman to climb over that fence, which is dangerous for them in the middle of the desert in Texas and things like that. It's actually dangerous for their health. It's dangerous for a lot of things for them, and that hopefully is going to be affect right away. It looks like it is, so I'm thankful for that. Now, the executive orders, I haven't seen one yet that's going to lower corporate tax, but definitely something to do with that would actually give businesses the ability to be more profitable. And if a business is more profitable, it has the ability to pay higher wages. And people go, well, these corporations, we shouldn't be giving them money. But the only way to stop corporate greed is to actually have competition. If you have competing companies for labor, their workforce becomes competition. And when the workforce becomes competition, they are forced to pay higher wages. This is a very simple effect of lowering corporate tax. A lot of people think you're just giving money to the corporation, but you're actually, by giving them more ability to make money, it makes it better for the workforce competition, and that makes wages go up. So that will be a good thing. Now, one of the things I'd really like to see happen that I'm not seeing happen yet is something to do with companies owning homes. And a lot of people may not agree with this, but housing should be housing as far as residential houses, okay, should not be owned by foreign people, should not be owned by foreign corporations. They should not be owned by corporations in abundance. I mean, if they had a limit, say 3 homes or something like that, because some people operate their whole life under a corporation, that's understandable, and I could see that. But when a corporation owns like hundreds of homes and they're putting them all on Airbnb, what that does is that takes away from the average person being able to buy a home, and it makes price hikes way higher. And some people are thinking, well, that's good if price hikes, my house value is higher. But from a younger person's perspective, it's probably not very good for housing for people to keep it affordable. And so this is creating a problem, and I'm hoping that maybe they'll take a look at that sort of thing. So what happened in the 90s is one of the things that happened in like the law created in 1997 is they made this law that if you live in your house 2 years out of 5, that you could sell your home and the equity that you have up to, I don't know, whatever it is, the joint equity would be up to, I think, $500,000 that you get tax-free. Don't quote me on that. I don't know the exact numbers. I don't recall them offhand. I'm not an accountant. But there was a law that was out in 1997 to do that. And that helped stimulate the housing market. But the other flip side to that is it also made the housing market more of an asset that you could use to buy and sell and for financial gain. And housing should have never really been that way. It should have been just, this is my house, this is where I live. It's that way in most every other country there is, and that's a place for me to stay. Instead, it was better for the economics for them to have people pull money out of their homes to buy boats, to buy cars, to increase their lifestyle by moving several times and taking the equity out of their home. And that was the whole thing of the Clinton administration. And I don't think that was a really good idea. I mean, in the short run, maybe, but in the long run, I think it's been a problem for us. And now we are seeing housing being really unaffordable. That's one thing, again, I would like to see get done, but I haven't seen any laws come through on that yet. If you have, there's a comment section below. Make sure you comment. Again, anything in this video is my opinion, and you know, this is what I feel, this is what I see, based on what I'm seeing going on, and you guys might have a difference in opinion. And again, there's a comment section below. You can comment anything you feel about the same thing. So a lot of people call the Republicans xenophobic because they say that you know, they don't want other people coming from other countries. And I don't think that's true at all. I really think that they didn't want other people coming from countries, number one, because maybe they're extremely poor and they'll be taxing on the resources of the people who are already here. It's kind of like a rescue boat. Go out and the rescue boat takes, let's say, 1,200 people, and you're trying to put 1,500 or 2,000 people on that boat. You know, it's just not good for the people that are on the boat. So bringing in people should be regulated. I mean, if we're going to do it, we need to say, okay, we got to shut the border, get that under control, and then you can say, okay, in a few years, maybe we can decide that we need, you know, 10,000 new workers to take these certain jobs, okay? And people can apply, and they can go ahead and see if they qualify for what we need, you know. So, and make sure that they don't have criminal background, make sure that they, you know, have a good record where they are, and then at that point allow them in on a need to service basis. And that makes more sense. Having an open border has never been a good idea. It's never been good for anything other than, you know, the potential that somebody could run from a crime and come to America and go run across the border. So in that respect, we're going to have much better things going on. And it's nothing to do with their race. It's nothing to do with where they come from. People are coming across the Mexican border. Based on videos that I've looked at, you guys can tell me what you've seen in them below. But I've seen people from all over the world coming across the Mexican border because it's the easy way to get across. And the other thing that's bad about it is we're giving money to the cartels by doing that. The cartels run the borders, and since the cartels run the borders, we're basically giving them money to operate. And when the borders are protected, it's going to stop giving money to them. It's also going to stop with a lot of the illegal drugs that are coming across the border. So if we can just slow those things down to a trickle, it sure will help us. There's a lot of people that are really optimistic about the inflation going away. And this is kind of where I'm at on this. And maybe again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know anything about this. But there's two ways that I'm aware of that you can get out of inflation, stop inflation. It's one is to deflate, okay, which would mean have higher interest rates and basically try and slow the economy down, okay, and deflate our economy. And I don't really think that's a good answer for us right now. And so the Trump administration, I believe they're going to do something called grow us out of it. And so there's two different ways. You can either deflate the economy, or you can grow your way into the current pricing. So if you're the one that thinks that we are going to, the prices all of a sudden are going to shrink down, personally, I don't think that's really going to happen. I think that we're going to grow our way into it, which is going to have some good and bad effects. And again, I don't think there's really any way around it. It's going to have some good and bad effects for people that maybe are workers and still in the working force. That's going to be good for them, okay? But the people who are retired or older, that's also going to be a big challenge for them, because let's say you're retired, you're on a fixed income, and inflation doesn't go down. Maybe there is another way possible. Again, there's a comment section below. I really don't know of any other way other than those two things. But let's just say we grow our way into things. What's going to happen is some of the elderly people are going to have a difficult time paying for the higher prices that they have. The ones that are basically living beyond their means, which is a lot of people. And I'm not saying that that they did anything wrong. They might just be getting their retirement on a fixed income, and they're not able to make more money. Maybe it's because of medical reasons, maybe because they're too old, maybe because a lot of things. So that's a concern for me, okay? For that the elderly are going to have a difficult time paying for this new inflation. So, and because I'm 60 years old and I see money going out every month, okay? And at what point do you run out of money? So the things that I would look at if you're older, if you're old enough to do so, maybe you should look at something called a reverse mortgage if you own a home. Maybe that would help you get an income, increase your income, and yeah, eventually your house pays you until you pass away, or hopefully you have it long enough. Maybe that'll help out. Some of the other things there is maybe if you could do some sort of a part-time business, work at home, do a few things, even if it's less than minimum wage. Maybe you can do something to make a little bit of money. Do some eBay. That's why I'm doing YouTube. Okay? So it's kind of, there's just something like that. You have to find something that you still can do and contribute. But I'm very worried about the people who are not able to do that. So I think this is the way things are going to go. Again, I really don't know some of this stuff because, like I said, it's really hard to look at all the variables to know what things are going to happen. But I think we do. I think it is the better of the two options. We had the Trump administration, which some people are super negative about, and we had Kamala Harris, which I don't think she really knows how to rub two nickels together to make a dime. I really don't think she does. She didn't know anything. It was really well proven not long into the election process that she did not know what she's doing. So regardless of whether you stand on the right or the left, I think you can come to terms with that at some point and realize that this was the better choice. And hopefully we're going to see some good things coming up. I'm really excited about some of the new laws, and I just don't know what some of them are going to be yet. But I'm just telling you, I think you guys really be patient, be waiting, slowly. Don't go out and spend a ton of money thinking that everything's going to turn around on a dime, because I really don't think it is. The situation is pretty complex, and there's a lot of things, a lot of variables in there, and it's going to play out as it plays out, and I think we'll just have to find out what happens. All right, you guys, so I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see your comments.